Thank you to all those who put this together, and for all the people that have been with me early on in those parades and those backyard picnics. I thank you for your early support when no one believed we can win. I think more people now understand that we are going to win, and we're going to. You've been there since the get-go.
Yeah, since January.
When it was freezing cold outside. So I met someone that is near and dear to many people who live here. I met with Louise Slaughter just before I announced that I was going to run for office. And I don't know Louise. I don't have any personal relationship with her, but I went to Washington, which was a very lonely trip for me. There's not a lot of interest in this campaign. A lot of people thought this district was a lost cause and there couldn't be a challenger in this district. But I met with Louise, and I met her, and she was extremely gracious and kind to me. And she gave me some hope. And I looked her in the eyes and I said thank you to her. She complimented me on a few different things. She liked my background. She liked the fact that I spoke foreign languages, and she gave me a lot of positive energy. And then she grabbed me by the hand and she looked me in the eyes and she said, "We need to beat Chris Collins." And she gave me my catchphrase. She said, "Fight like hell." And I said, "This is a tough lady." But I left that and I thought, well, heck, that's a strong message, and I've taken that with me. Yesterday when I spoke in Hamburg, I expressed disappointment and sorrow. Disappointment and sorrow for where we were as a community, that we had this type of representative. But I didn't want to gloat. I didn't want to take some type of joy in the misfortunes of another person. And then I saw the press conference last night that many of you saw. And I'll be honest, my feelings turned to anger. I saw Mr. Collins brag about trying to help MS victims when we knew he didn't talk about that when he was in D.C. He bragged about making his fellow congressmen millionaires. He bragged about deleting his emails 3 times a day. These are things that he said. He didn't brag about trying to help the victims of vicious diseases. He talked about helping his family and how that his purpose in life was to help his family and that he was just trying to do the right thing. Well, Mr. Collins does not understand what the right thing is. To explain this to you, what he did is he cheated on a test. If you get the answers in advance, it's cheating. And if he was the principal of the school and he took his son aside, who was one of the students, and said, "Hey, here's the answers," that's cheating. It's simple. You don't have to overthink this. He cheated to make his family rich, not to make you rich, not to make the people of Batavia or Canandaigua or Warsaw or any of the wonderful cities in 2027 rich. He cheated to make his family rich. And instead of doing the right thing and getting out of the race, he doubled down. He said, "I'm in this," because he's not used to people calling him out. A man born into privilege, a man that has bought and sold jobs in this district, who have put people out of work, who has mistreated workers at every level of government he's ever worked in. He doesn't think the rules apply to him, the same rules that apply to everybody else. That if you treat people right and you work hard, things pay off, and if you cheat, you get thrown out. Well, he's cheated. And I want everyone to understand that. And this isn't new news. I've been Paul Revere about this, running across NY27 to every town, anyone who would listen to me. I've been saying, listen to me. You got to understand what this guy's been up to. And not a lot of people were listening until yesterday. And some people were there before me. Where's Cecily? Is she here? Come on up. Cecily is a Republican. Now, a Republican woman who's been she's been a Republican her entire life. She contacted me early on. We met at a coffee shop, and she said, "Nate, do you understand what this man has done?" And she went through her brief that she wrote that helped start the investigation. And Cecily, you are a leader, and you're someone that thought beyond party lines, who thought about what's right and what's wrong. And that's the issue here today. We're not talking about progressive versus Republican, left versus right. That's news radio, that's talk show nonsense. We're talking about right versus wrong. This is an argument about who is right and who is wrong, who is honest and dishonest, who is going to serve our community and represents our community. We need to put those labels aside. You know, last night Brian Williams, I was listening to the news and I almost fell out of my chair. He called me a progressive activist. Well, I wanted to remind Brian, 2 months ago in the Democratic primary, I was a corporate lawyer, so suddenly I'm Che Guevara. But it's funny how that perspective of politics works. The reality is I'm a practical person who wants practical solutions for Western New York. Who am I? I'm a guy who grew up one of 7. My father was a drywall guy. He died at 39 of cancer. My 35-year-old mom raised all 7 of those boys in that big house in North Tonawanda. I'm a guy who worked his way up. I didn't cheat. I started at community college, worked my way to law school, graduated with honors, got a Fulbright scholarship. I didn't cheat. I worked my way through it. Now, who is Chris? Chris is a man who came here from North Carolina, who was arrested in New York City, who's been calling me a carpetbagger. My family came here, we built the canal. That canal water flows through my veins. I am of this district, I am of these people. Who do you think is going to represent you, Western? Who's going to represent you? A guy who knows what it's like to struggle, to work dead-end jobs? A guy who cuts his own grass? Or a guy who's wheeling and dealing in illegal stock trades? This is a question of right and wrong. It's time for us to throw out the cheaters. It's time to have a representative who will listen to you, who will be here. I commit right now to have town halls 4 times a year across this region. I commit right now to listening and meeting with the leaders of this region. I've had Republican supervisors met with me in diners and tell me, this guy doesn't listen. He will not talk to me. I can't say it publicly because I'm a Republican, but he won't listen to me. I've had that happen very close to where we stand right now. I will listen. I will come to the towns that are in this region and I will say, how can I help you? And we will find practical solutions. Not news radio or cable news solutions, real solutions. How can we make the lives of the people in this region better? And one of the things I'll fight for right now, you can label me any way you want, but I'm going to fight relentlessly for Medicare for every person in this country. It's a matter of priorities. If Chris Collins can give a $2 trillion tax cut to his buddies that creates this massive hole, a huge deficit in our economy, if he can do that, if we can spend $4 million an hour in Afghanistan for 17 years, for what, I don't know what we're doing. Can anyone here tell me what's going on there and if it's going the right way? If we can waste money on those things, we can find the priorities and we can find a way to make sure that people in this region can get the medication they need, get the coverage they need, and that's what I'm going to fight for. So guys, what I ask you to do is to come listen to me. Come see me, come talk to me. Let's look at the choice here. Because politics is all about a choice. You got a choice about a guy who is consistently misled and consistently taken advantage of his position, who used the House of the people to serve his own interests. Or you got a guy like me who's a Democrat in a conservative town, who grew up an Eagle Scout, who grew up here, who knows the people here, who's of this region. NY27 is your choice, but let's win in November. Thank you. With that, I'll take, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take your questions.
How does this change your strategy here for your plan now moving forward with your campaign strategy?
It strengthens us. Let's be honest. I mean, I'm proud of the way we led this campaign before. It was potlucks and picnics, I always say. We were in backyards. The people that are standing behind me right now, we were at pool parties, we were in parades. But to be honest, we'll take the extra energy and the help we can get. In the last 24 hours, that energy and that help's been flowing into this campaign. We're going to be able to increase our staff. We're going to increase the boots on the ground. We're going to be able to increase the firepower we have to bring to this campaign.
So how much money have you raised in the last 24 hours?
Tens of thousands of dollars. Honestly, I haven't slept in the last 24 hours. I slept about a half an hour last night, but because there's so much attention suddenly drawn towards us. But I can tell you right now, it's been better than it's ever been by far.
Have you heard from the DCCC?
We have, and Yeah, they called me and they said, I'm not joking. They said, you were on our Rolodex for this morning anyway. This is fortuitous. And I said, listen, I'll let it pass. How can we work together? We need the help. We need that energy. We need that interest. Listen, I was sending them pictures. I'm like, are you seeing our rallies? Are you seeing when we had 150 people in Cicely's backyard? Are you seeing when we had 100 people in Canandaigua on a 1 day's notice? Are you seeing when where's Judith? Where we had almost 200 people in Mount Morris? I'm like, are you looking at these pictures? This was as grassroots as it gets. They weren't paying attention. The same algorithm that told them that Hillary Clinton was going to win in a landslide told them that we didn't have a chance. We always had a chance. Now it's added kerosene to the fire, and we are going to win this.
What have
Yes,
they
we
committed?
are.
They have committed to giving us some technical know-how, some fundraising know-how. It's all being worked out now. My team's working with them, and I told them, I'm appreciative of the help, but the people that were there when no one else was there, they ain't going anywhere. My team's going to stay in place, and we're going to work with your team. But they're committed.
So you say, you don't want to gloat,
Yep.
but there is a little bit of a happy dance going on.
I think that justice is being served. This is a country where we believe in right and wrong. Now, one thing I'll tell you right now is that's just some truth to what I just heard. Whoever said that. When I was having interviews and people are asking me these picayune questions about why don't you have more money in the bank, I'm like, why aren't you asking why he has so much money in the bank? I mean, there wasn't enough interest in those issues. This was a false relevancy. This man has done some very unspeakable things, and he's used his position to do that. It's going to be a national story. It's of historical precedence, and the people who nominated him, the people who put him on this position and shoved them down our throats by putting an R next to his name and defiling that party and the whole system, they should be ashamed as well. How did he get nominated? Everyone knew this. Cecily knew it. We knew it. The fact that he was nominated is shameful, and the people that were involved in that process and took selfies with him should also be ashamed.
Spent a lot of time in the district.
Yes.
Part of it, but I spent a lot of time there yesterday talking with voters.
Yes.
And it is a heavily red district.
Yep.
You knew that going in.
Yep.
But even a lot of the people I spoke with yesterday said they believe that Chris Collins, even under this indictment, can get reelected.
Well, let's see about that. We'll see about that. Listen, that would be shameful for our region. He is embarrassing us. He has become a national. It's a national story that's embarrassing this region, and we're going to do our best to make sure that doesn't happen. The reality is there is a huge apparatus out there to tell people that Nate McMurray is nothing like you, that Chris Collins got your back. But anyone can look at this objectively and know that simply is not true. I'm a guy who's going to understand their needs and understand their issues because I am of this place. I'm a person who grew up in this region. I know the values of this region. I have family that lives in this region. I got family who's struggling right now. If you don't think I'm going to fight like hell for those families, if you don't think I'm going to fight like hell for the people back here, you are wrong. And I think in the next 3 months, as we keep saying that, and the comparison becomes more and more clear, people realize we need this guy fighting for us.
Do you think he should resign before the election?
I think he should do what's right. I said that yesterday. Any kindergarten will tell you what's right. The result is that he shouldn't be in this election. But that's for him, his decision to make. He should not be here. He should have resigned a long time ago. He knew what he did was wrong. He's been lying to the press for over a year. He's been lying for a long time. It's time for him to go. He's been lying, he's been lying to everybody. So it's time for him to go. It's time for new leadership. And the people that were there from the get-go saying he's got to go when everyone else was supporting him and endorsing him, the people of NY27 need to ask themselves, who should they trust, those guys or us?
Going off the previous question, I mean, how legitimate do you think your chances are now after the last 24
We're going to win.
Yes, we are.
We are going to win. And when we win, it isn't going to be a Democratic victory. It's going to be a victory for the people of NY27. Just like what I won for supervisor in my little town. I had Republicans there. We were hugging. Because come on, you all know. How about your house? How's dinner? We have this idea now that America is so divided. I bet your dinner table's divided. We have people of all different parties and ideas and beliefs. There's a spectrum of ideas and beliefs. And this idea that those people are over here and that we're over there, that may be good for talk radio, but it's not good for America. And that's not the type of leader I'm going to be. I'm going to represent all of NY27.
That's right.
Overall, they agree that Washington right now is corrupt. So how could you change that, or how does that need to be changed?
Look at me. Look at my story. I've never been a corrupt person. I've never been a cheater. I fought for what's right because it's who I am inside. And I'm not going to let them down. I'm not someone who's going to use this position to aggrandize myself. I'm going to use it to fight for the people of Western New York. This is the most beautiful place in the entire world. It is so beautiful. Now, I'm someone I've had the opportunity to live overseas for a long time. I've been around the world. I've had those chances. I chose to come back here because I love it so much. And the biggest problem that we have here is a lack of true leadership. With the right leadership, it says in the Bible, without a vision, the people will perish. We haven't had a vision. The only vision we've had is how can we get rich? Well, I'm going to help this region reach their potential. I'm going to help the people and the families of this region reach their potential. And I'm going to be in D.C. And if I see that corruption, if I see that swamp life, I'm chasing it out.
I'm assuming you have your own investment portfolio. You've never traded on insider information.
Are you kidding? Look, wait to see my financial disclosure. I'll probably be the poorest guy in Congress. Think about it. Take a step back here. I went to community college. I took student loans out. 7 kids, 1 mom who was a janitor for most of the time we were a kid growing up, went to school, went to night school to become a teacher. You think I had someone paying my bills? When I was in law school, I was plunging toilets. I used to go to my fellow students and be like, aren't you the guy that works in the toilets? I'm like, no, I'm in your con law class. That's me. I worked my way up. Now, I'm solidly middle class. I've done well, but I built my way up the right way. I haven't cheated one moment of my life. Any other questions? Yeah. All right, listen, Rochester, let's do this. We cannot let this guy win. If we let this guy win, it's going to be a shame for all of us. So get out there, come see us, go to votemcmurray.com. We're going to have a lot of fun with this election. We're going to do it our way, and we're going to win. I'll see you November 7th. Thank you so much.